Gloria seems like a relatively simple film. It only has 5 speaking roles, and mostly it's a two-man show between Ryan Quentin, who plays Wes, who is stuck in a bathroom, and J.K. Simmons, who plays a god stuck in a stall. That's God with a little g. He's just one of many, and is on the cosmic horror side of things. The film is horror, with a good amount of comedy, and leans much more into a philosophical take on things, with discussions about purpose, death, and letting go. In an interview with the director, Rebecca McKendry, she compared it to a theatrical production, and that's basically what it is. A stage play where Wes takes the center, talking to the off-screen presence of Gat no Thoa for the majority of the film, though for simplicity he calls him Gat. Largely, this works. First, Wes is built up as an absolute loser, someone who is at the end of the ropes, and to be pitied, he brings all his possessions, including a box of photos. Drinks straight from a bottle of whiskey before vomiting in a rest stop bathroom, although the toilet is at least cleaner than the worst toilet in Scotland. That is when he meets Gat, the eldritch being in a glory hole. From then on, he is trapped in the room and has to talk with this being and try to figure out what it wants. Gat, however, is not hostile, and in fact is a fairly warm presence for much of the film, all due to Simmons' performance. While casting, McKendry kept being recommended people with scary voices, and she realized that those she was talking to didn't get the film, or the role. Gat is not a frightening presence, at least not initially. The dialogue plays it as a concerned citizen, someone who genuinely wants to help. She said that she had always looked at Whiplash as a horror film, with Simmons' character as the monster, and due to that, it made sense to cast him in this as a literal monster. There's debate to be had there, but in terms of swapping between nurturing and crushing, Simmons is one of the best. The film leans a bit too heavily on comedy in the first act, which doesn't always work, but the darker Evil Dead 2 inspired second works much better. The dynamic between the two main actors works well, although can occasionally feel repetitive, as Wes repeatedly denies that what is happening is real. Despite it being effectively a bottle episode, the way it's shot gives variety to the location, and it makes it never feel boring, and the effects are generally fairly decent, especially given the budget. It's 4 out of 5 stars. That's the spoiler-free review. It starts with a prophetic dream that doesn't make a huge amount of sense, although all is explained by the end. These dreams recur a few times, although it's only after the final twist is revealed that they gain complete meaning, whereas it may have been better to offer additional insight spaced throughout. The description for the film talks about how it's a breakup movie, and in many ways it is. There's great attention put into the emotion he feels, and how it conflicts with the standard male strategy of denial and pushing down feelings. The whole film is a treatise on the 5 stages of grief, conducted through his conversations with Gat. First there is denial. After their initial conversation, he refuses to accept the situation he's in. While he attempts to deal with his emotions through drinking and burning effigies of his relationship, it's clear that was all a performance, a show. After that comes anger, which Wes exhibits a few times. The first is when he tries to get his chocolate bar. Choco sticks. He smashes the machine before a Harbinger-type character helps him after he offers her a coin. The film is not shy of mythological references. Some of them are practically opaque, like this opening scene. The character, called Sharon, in the credits, is the guide to lead him to hell, after he offers her a token. She leads him down the river Styx, which also could have been looked at from a fairy tale perspective, as eating food in a strange place is often the first part of accepting a bargain. Other Fae references are when he is forced to say Gat's full name correctly, by holding his tongue. True names pronounced correctly are often crucial to bargains, and that's exactly what Wes entered into. Then there are further references to Greek mythology, with the choice of liver being his sacrifice to the gods. Prometheus was famously tied down to a rock, and eagles feasted on a part of his liver each day, which would then grow back in the new dawn. All of this was punishment in hell for what he had done during his life, in parallel to Wes, due to a desire by McKendry to expand beyond just the Lovecraft mythology. She credits her husband for assistance with the philosophical and mythological elements, as he did a pass on the script after the first draft was complete. He wanted an expanded mythology, adding in these disparate elements to help create a sense of grandeur. Back to Wes's anger, he tries to brute force his way out of the restroom, smashing at the door and windows. That's when the purple, ethereal light comes in. After realizing he is well and truly trapped, he begins to bargain with Gat, trying to figure out what is truly happening. While doing this, he attempts to escape again, but after his attempt is foiled and he is right back where he started, he sinks to the ground, depressed. Eventually he gets up, and while there is a diversion with the secondary character of Gary, he accepts the situation and gives in to Gat. All of this builds up to the final twist, where it's revealed that he's not just been grieving for a broken relationship, but also a death, as Wes is a serial killer, and murdered his previous girlfriend, as well as about a dozen other women. While there has not been a huge build-up to this, there were certainly hints before. When Gary offers to call the cops, he backpedals, especially after Gat's intervention. The clothes he is burning are also women's, and it would be strange for him to be left with his ex's clothing. There is also a strange box that holds a special place in his memories. It's not the most well built up twist, and it's one of the more common ones, but overall it works. It offers something he needs repentance for, but also something that can't be forgiven. The women he's killed are never going to be okay, and although ultimately he sacrifices himself to save the rest of the world, it doesn't change what he's done. Gat says the same thing after Wes claims to be a hero. No, heroes are remembered. You will be forgotten, and that's what you deserve. Gat believes that as a being of pure destruction, he is the same as Wes, and neither deserves to be recognized. It's a comment on the media coverage of serial killers and other mass murderers, especially in the United States, where they are named, and the news cycle about them can last weeks. Many of these murderers get exactly what they wanted: attention. While other countries often avoid identifying them, instead mourning for their victims, the information still gets out there and can inspire others. By putting such attention on them, it's ultimately an incredibly destructive cycle that the media is complicit in, all in the desperate attempt for more ratings. While not exactly the same, Nightcrawler is one of the best modern examinations of this subject. In the end, there is a lot of yonic imagery as well. An enormous bear with a red cloth hole with many folds. The whole concept of a glory hole, especially one with alien tentacle graffiti tattooed around it. The concept of the vagina as extraterrestrial can be traced to alien, but the concept of a symbol for womanhood as the other is ancient, especially in contrast to the male as the normal. At one point it seems like the entire film is building towards a dick joke. The very concept of the glory hole god seems to point in that direction, but when he finally offers it, Gat laughs. You thought your human penis was going to save the universe? It's taunting the audience by subverting what seems to be the obvious outcome. Returning to Alien, there's a lot of male rape imagery. It's a twist on the typical rape revenge story, with the manifestation of all his past deeds being a fleshy mask that demands a part of him, a part he has to offer willingly. Due to circumstances, he has no other option, making consent impossible, but that's another part of the message. In the end, the women that he kills place their hands on him, treating him like a piece of meat. They plunge their hands into his opening, and they do it with such veracity that he bleeds. In the real world, a tentacle from Gat goes through the glory hole and plunges into him. Imagery. A few other minor notes. The poster image of him with a leg trying to beat down the door is hilarious. There aren't a lot of moments of horror, but there is some very effective imagery, like the faceless woman and the black void, as well as the general existential dread. The gore effects are great, especially the rain, evoking the Evil Dead remake. Wes ultimately sacrificing himself for a selfish reason of seeing his memory again works very well thematically. Overall, the film is very well done, with a lot more depth than initially appears. The acting by the two leads is incredibly well done, although the side characters a bit less so. It's a brisk 75 minutes, and the effects offer enough hints about what the beings are, but keeping the mystery to keep the cosmic horror relevant is highly recommended. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review, and have a lovely day.